Blackthorn was a town cloaked in perpetual twilight. The sun rarely pierced through the thick, oppressive clouds that seemed to hang over the town like a shroud. A thick fog hung heavy in the air, mirroring the despair that had settled over its inhabitants. The fog was so dense that it seemed to seep into the very bones of the townspeople, chilling them to the core. The once vibrant market square stood deserted, its cobblestones slick with an almost tangible sense of hopelessness. Stalls that once bustled with life and color now stood empty, their wares long since abandoned. The townsfolk, their faces etched with worry and exhaustion, moved like specters through the gloom. Each step they took seemed to be weighed down by an invisible burden, their eyes cast downward as if in search of something they had long lost. At the edge of town, in a ramshackle cottage, lived Elspeth, a gifted healer burdened by a debilitating illness. Her home, once a place of refuge and healing, now stood as a testament to her decline. Her once nimble hands, now gnarled with arthritis, could no longer mend the sick or soothe the suffering. The herbs and potions that had once brought relief now sat unused, gathering dust on her shelves. Her inability to heal, both herself and her community, filled her with a gnawing sense of failure. She spent her days staring out the window, watching the fog roll in and out, feeling as though she were trapped in a never-ending nightmare. Across the muddy lane, Thomas the blacksmith grappled with a different kind of despair. His forge, once a place of strength and creation, now felt like a prison. His burly frame, once brimming with the strength of a dozen men, was now stooped with grief. The clang of his hammer on the anvil, once a comforting rhythm, now echoed hollowly in the empty space. The loss of his wife in a tragic accident had left him with a gaping wound in his heart, and a young son he could barely muster the will to raise. Each day was a struggle, a battle against the overwhelming tide of sorrow that threatened to consume him. And then there was young Anya, her bright eyes dimmed by the weight of her secret. She wandered the streets, her mind a whirlwind of thoughts and ideas that she could share with no one. Gifted with a mind that could unravel the most complex equations, she was ostracized by the very people she yearned to help. Her intelligence, a beacon of hope in the darkness, was met with fear and suspicion. Deemed a witch by the ignorant and fearful, she retreated further into herself, her potential stifled by the suffocating air of prejudice. She spent her days hiding in the shadows, her heart heavy with the knowledge that she could never truly belong in a place that refused to understand her. One night, as the storm raged outside, mirroring the turmoil within their hearts, a stranger arrived in Blackthorn. The wind howled through the narrow streets, carrying with it whispers of the unknown and the scent of rain-soaked earth. He appeared at the edge of the forest, a towering figure cloaked in shadows, his eyes burning with an otherworldly light. His presence was both ominous and magnetic, drawing the attention of all who dared to glance his way. The townsfolk, wary of outsiders, watched him from behind their shuttered windows, whispering about curses and dark magic. Fear and curiosity mingled in their hearts as they speculated about the stranger's intentions and the dark powers he might wield. The stranger, unperturbed by their apprehension, made his way to the well at the center of town. His steps were deliberate, each one echoing through the silent streets, as if he were walking to the beat of an ancient, forgotten rhythm. He lowered a silver cup into its depths, the metal gleaming like a beacon in the gloom. The water rippled as the cup descended, reflecting the faint light of the moon that peeked through the storm clouds. As he raised the cup to his lips, the wind seemed to hush, and an unnatural silence descended upon Blackthorn. The air grew thick with anticipation, as if the very village held its breath, waiting for what would come next. Elspeth, drawn by an invisible force, found herself standing before the stranger. Her heart pounded in her chest, each beat a reminder of her own vulnerability and the flicker of hope that had brought her here. Her breath caught in her throat as their eyes met, his gaze piercing through her facade of frailty, seeing the flicker of hope that still resided within her weary heart. She felt exposed, as if he could see every secret she had ever kept, every dream she had ever dared to dream. Thomas, his son clinging to his leg, followed her, a sliver of desperate curiosity cutting through his grief. He had lost so much, and yet something about the stranger's presence stirred a long-buried sense of possibility within him. And Anya, her heart pounding with a mixture of fear and anticipation, crept closer, her shadow blending with the stranger's. She had always been drawn to the unknown, and now, standing on the precipice of something extraordinary, she felt a thrill of excitement course through her veins.
You seek solace? I offer you power. His voice was a low, resonant whisper, carrying the weight of ancient promises and untold secrets. The villagers, though fearful, felt a spark of hope ignite within them as they stood on the brink of a new dawn.
The stranger, who identified himself as the god of magic, proposed a bargain. His presence was both awe-inspiring and intimidating, a figure cloaked in mystery and power. He would bestow upon them extraordinary abilities, powers beyond their wildest imaginings. These were not mere tricks or illusions, but true, potent magic that could reshape reality itself. But these gifts, he warned, came at a price. The power he offered was not to be taken lightly, and the responsibility that came with it was immense. They would be bound to use their powers for the betterment of Blackthorn, to heal its wounds and restore its former glory. The town, once vibrant and full of life, had fallen into disrepair, and it was their duty to bring it back from the brink. Failure to uphold their end of the bargain would result in unimaginable consequences. The god of magic's warning hung heavy in the air, a reminder of the stakes involved. Elspeth, her hands trembling with a mixture of fear and anticipation, accepted the god of magic's offer. She had always been a healer, but now she would become something more, something extraordinary. A surge of energy coursed through her veins, invigorating her withered body. She felt a warmth spreading from her core, revitalizing every cell, every muscle. The arthritis that had plagued her for years vanished, replaced by a newfound strength. Her fingers, once gnarled and painful, were now nimble and strong. Her touch, once gentle and soothing, now pulsed with a vibrant energy, capable of mending not just flesh and bone, but also the broken spirit of her town. She could feel the potential within her, a power that could bring hope and healing to those in need. Thomas, his eyes filled with a flicker of hope for the first time since his wife's death, stepped forward. He had been a man lost in grief, but now he saw a chance for redemption, a way to honor his wife's memory. He accepted the bargain, his heart heavy with the responsibility it entailed. The weight of his decision was immense, but so was the potential for good. The god of magic touched his forehead, and a wave of power washed over him. It was as if a dam had burst, releasing a torrent of energy that filled him with strength and purpose. His grief, though still present, no longer threatened to consume him. He felt a sense of peace, a calm that had eluded him for so long. He felt a surge of strength, not just physical but emotional, a newfound determination to be a pillar of support for his son and his community. He knew that with this power he could make a difference, not just for himself but for everyone around him. Anya, emboldened by the example of Elspeth and Thomas, stepped into the circle of light. She had always been curious, always seeking knowledge, and now she had the chance to unlock the mysteries of the universe. She accepted the god of magic's offer, her mind buzzing with the possibilities that now lay before her. The potential for discovery, for understanding, was limitless. The magic that had always simmered beneath the surface of her being erupted, amplifying her intellect 1,000-fold. She could feel her mind expanding, her thoughts becoming clearer and more profound. She could see the world with a clarity she had never known, its secrets unfolding before her like chapters in a book. Every question she had ever had now seemed within reach, every mystery ready to be solved. Together, Elspeth, Thomas and Anya formed the foundation of a new era for Blackthorn. Their powers, though different, complemented each other perfectly, creating a synergy that promised to transform their town. The dawn of this new era was not just about magic, but about unity, hope, and the collective strength of a community determined to rise above its challenges. Blackthorn was on the brink of a renaissance, and its people were ready to embrace the future with open hearts and minds. With their newfound abilities, Elspeth, Thomas and Anya set about transforming Blackthorn. Elspeth's healing touch spread throughout the town, mending broken bones, curing illnesses and restoring hope to the hearts of the despairing. The townsfolk, their faces regaining their long-forgotten glow, flocked to her doorstep, their gratitude echoing through the cobblestone streets. The market square, once deserted, buzzed with activity, the air filled with the sounds of laughter and commerce. Thomas, his grief tempered by purpose, poured his newfound strength into rebuilding Blackthorn. He repaired crumbling buildings, constructed sturdy bridges, and erected a towering windmill that harnessed the power of the wind, bringing light and prosperity to the town. His son, inspired by his father's example, blossomed under his care, his laughter a testament to the healing power of hope. Anya, her intellect sharpened by magic, became a beacon of knowledge and innovation. She devised irrigation systems that transformed barren fields into fertile farmland, designed intricate machines that eased the burden of labor, and established a school where she shared her knowledge with the children of Blackthorn, nurturing their curiosity and igniting their imaginations. If you enjoyed this chapter and want to see more, don't forget to subscribe, share, and like. In case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.